What is good? What is good? What is really, really good, baby? It's your boy Justin Creever, aka Young Mummy, the mother of the streets. Y'all know how we do it. All right, I got a little quick one for you because I was thinking about this. Uh, you know, recently, I'd say for the last 6 months or so, I did something kind of unprecedented. Now keep your minds out of the gutter. Yeah, I know what you're. No, I've been pretty much exclusively watching conservative pundits and conservative commentators on YouTube, and you know, I'm thinking of ordering a MAGA hat. Right? No, but you know what? There was one thing that surprised me. There's one thing that continues to surprise me in the because I would say over 50% of the time I disagree. I disagree. I agree with some propositions, but the majority of the time I disagree. And I thought invariably there'd be this huge deluge of hate, but I actually get a lot of likes, which surprised the fucking hell out of me. In any event, this video is about, or the topic is about conservative conspiracy theories, which is one of the primary reasons why I can't fathom ever being a conservative. Now, as we know, the intellectual divide is real. Okay, there's a plethora of studies going back decades to let that clearly and empirically show people with higher intelligence tend to swing to the left. Also, they also tend to be more compassionate. Okay, so these fucking Trumpsters. Remember, they had this maxim that they would repeat, like "fuck your feelings." Well, no, intelligent people don't say "fuck your feelings." That's indicative of whatever those people. All right. So, but the thing that irritates me the most, I would say, is the preponderance of these whack job tinfoil hat fucking conspiracies, which are almost always propagated and promulgated by conservative Christians. And for some goddamn reason, they usually it seems they're diverse in nature, but it seems the one fucking commonality is they all talk about some clandestine group of Zionist Jew, like they're so goddamn anti-Semitic and racist.
When wildfires were ravaging hundreds of thousands of acres in California and killing 85 people, Marjorie Taylor Greene weighed in from Georgia on Facebook. In a post recently unearthed by Media Matters, Greene theorized a laser beam from space started the deadly 2018 California wildfire. Not just any laser beam from space, but one controlled by wealthy Jewish bankers who wanted to clear land in order to make way for a high-speed rail project. That's right, Congresswoman Greene seems to believe that wealthy Jewish bankers have a secret space laser.
One would wonder, does everyone believe in it? Or do some just disseminate them because it is consistent with their racist views? And I think some people legitimately believe them, and I think some conservatives don't think there's credibility to it, but they're racist as fuck, so they disseminate them. Okay. Um, so I basically all I want to say is there's nothing impressive about this shit, and and the only way they substantiate it, or they attempt to substantiate it, is by virtue of saying, "Oh my God, what are the chances? Okay, I read this in Revelation, and I saw this in real life, which is kind of similar. Probably not that similar, but is this a reference to Revelation or a passage in Revelation? Is this a reference to something that Jesus said in one of the four hearsay canonical gospels? Is this something that Saul of Tarsus, which Christians like to call Apostle Paul, despite the fact that he never met Jesus once? Um, is this a reference? What are the chances? Well, the thing is, the chances are high. Now, this um, idea of mine, this proposition is this operates on the presupposition that free will exists. Yes, I understand that it's actually quite dubious. I get it. Believe me, I get it. So this operates under the presupposition that free will indeed exists. So there's this concept that I kind of came up with, but there's no such thing as original thought, right? So I'm sure there's a million people. I call it the illusion of infinite possibilities. So Christians, they'll often they'll manufacture these ludicrous and asinine and frankly often horribly racist conspiracy theories. And the way this is substantiated is say, they'll point to something in pop culture, like a Lady Gaga video, okay, or a logo of some restaurant, okay, which looks like it may have a 666. I don't know. Okay, or they, they're with COVID, they're finding all these alleged parallels. I don't know. I heard that the masks, I don't know, somehow equals 666, the Hebrew word for mask. I haven't investigated that, and these guys are often wrong. But you know what? It wouldn't matter anyway. Because even if it was true, the fact is, like, the the possibilities, the amount of possibilities is a lot slimmer than we think. Okay, so a lot of things, so they invariably always say, this must be a sign. This must be a divine sign that my conspiracy theory is accurate. Because what are the chances? Because there could be a million, there could be infinite possibilities, and it just so happens that this lines up with this scripture. But are there infinite possibilities? No, 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 no. A lot of, if you were to study one system at a time, okay, if you look at that particular system, are there infinite possibilities in the context of that particular system? No, there's a lot of things that aren't possible. Okay, just like if right now I'm at home. If my best friend Joy, she's from Hong Kong. If she was in Hong Kong right now, I couldn't be with her. That's not possible. She can't be two places at once. So not everything. So first of all, we have to eschew this fallacious, but very commonplace notion that everything is possible. Nonsense. Then you take all the things that are possible, but how many of those things are plausible? And the answer is not many. Okay, not many. So so this is the reason, and conservatives don't fucking seem to understand this. Okay, now like it's kind of infuriating, man. Because I personally hate being bombarded with this never-ending preponderance of highly dogmatic and often very bigoted conspiracy theory bullshit um, on a daily basis. I think it's fucking pathetic, and I think it's so goddamn juvenile.
A lot of you are in the real estate business because I know you very well. You're brutal killers. Not nice people at all, but you have to vote for me. You have no choice.
Okay. And do they ever offer conclusive evidence for anything by means of the scientific method? Of course not. Of course not. Their only form of evidence or pseudo evidence is saying it's a coincidence, and what are the chances? What are the chances? Well, like I said, the truth is the chances are much higher than you think. Okay. The probability is a lot higher than you think. And I'm going to give you an example from my life. All right, so this is a real life example from my personal life, just to give you a conception of my proposition. I've over the years struggled off and on with maybe drinking a little too much, and it's had implications on my health, and that's primarily the reason that I have sought assistance. Okay, so one of the places I went, I've been there a number of times, it's called Harbor Light. It's run by the Salvation Army. Okay, I don't support it. The Salvation Army has a long and storied history of being very big, very homophobic and transphobic. So I don't support them. I wouldn't encourage you to either, but I'll take advantage of what they'll give. Why not? The first time I went there, I noticed, so they give you documents to fill out, okay? Some of them have some weird questions. Now, the program is supposed to be secular, despite the fact that the Salvation Army is obviously a Christian establishment. But they very much encourage you to have spirituality, whatever that means. I mean, that must be one of the most ambiguous words in our lexicon. But they encourage you to have spirituality at the forefront of your quote-unquote program, okay? So one of the documents said it had some questions. One question was, do you believe in Jesus? I said, hell the fuck no. Now, the next question was, if you answered no, what spiritual path, I'm paraphrasing, are you going to pursue? Now, at that time, we're going back years. We're going back quite a while. At that time, I was really interested in quote unquote spiritual esotericism. Okay, I would read books on it. I ultimately joined the Rosicrucian Order. I was accepted. I got initiated. I was into it. So what I put on I want to look into and study the philosophy of Hermeticism. Okay. So right after that, we were given a break, a 30-minute break. You can't do a lot in 30 minutes. So what me and some buddies did, like two guys. We walked. So for the Torontonians, the Harbor Light Rehab is on Jarvis and Shooter. Sorry, it's on Jarvis at the corner of Jarvis and Shooter. So what we did is we walked to the BMV, that bookstore beside the former world's biggest bookstore, which no longer exists. So it's not on Girard, but it's around Yonge and Girard. Mind you, this happened right after I filled out the paper. So me and some buddies, we walk into the BMV. I go to the occult section because I was interested in it at the time. I pick up one arbitrary book. This is I'm being serious. This is the first book I picked up. Open it up. What do I see? I see a pamphlet for this Hermetic order, styled after the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. At that, I said, "What are the chances?" What? Now, I didn't believe it. I was an atheist still. I was but at that time, I was kind of sipping on a little bit of the woo-woo sauce, and I kind of was a little into Carl Jung, so I thought that was evidence of synchronicity. I no longer think that. Because if you analyze, like, it seems impressive, doesn't it? I literally wrote down on the piece of paper, I want to study Hermeticism. We're going to break, go to the fucking bookstore, pick up one random book, boom, what's in it? That's a pretty impressive coincidence. But in retrospect, I don't think so, okay? Because you got to break it down to, all the little details. So what's the probability that we would go to the BMV, which is just around the corner? Well, we were only given a half an hour. Okay, in Toronto is a world-class city. I love Toronto. I think it's the best city in the world. There's so many things you could do. Okay, I'd love to hit up one of the strip clubs, but you can't do that in a half an hour. We're not going to take a tour of the Sky Dome or the CN Tower or something in a half an hour, okay? There's only so much you could do in a half an hour. So what is the probability that we would travel from Shooter and Girard to the BMV, the bookstore, near Girard and Yonge? Well, pretty fucking high. Because what else are you going to do in a half an hour? What is the probability that I would go to the occult section? Well, almost 100%. Because I was interested in that at the time. I was really heavy into that stuff, and it is fascinating. Now, what is the probability? Because this sound like it was, and I'm not exaggerating when I say the first book. This literally, it was a book on mythology. I opened it up, and the pamphlet was in there. What is the probability that would happen? Well, you know what? That was the only book that I picked up. Chances are, there's a good chance that whoever put it in every fucking book. Which would mean the probability is, again, 100%. So the thing is, when you take these seemingly crazy coincidences and you break them down to the core elements, and then you analyze each little detail after detail, you'll notice that almost every coincidence because we've all had, quote unquote, crazy coincidences that are just a little too coincidental. If you use this system, you'll invariably find that what you initially construed as totes cray cray, it ain't that motherfucking cray cray. You know what I'm saying? So, and this is, so is there any credibility to these whack job conservative? No, and they're not impressive. And saying, it's a coincidence means nothing. It's not impressive. Okay. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. All right. So I think that kind of wraps it up. But so that's what I call the illusion of infinite possibilities. And this is the, the reason why saying something is coincidental does not qualify as evidence in the least, and really should not be construed as such by anyone. You know, and when you know, the dialectic that we all generally use is physical reductionism. I mean, everything is the sum of its parts, and every system's different, and there's different factors, and there's different potentialities and variables in any system. The truth is there's only the amount of things that are plausible, um, is always invariably it's always a lot less than what most people think. So when you say, oh well, this lines up with this piece of scripture, well, what are the chances that this phenomenon would be so? The chances are probably pretty high, okay? Because in the context of that particular system, that was probably the most plausible reality, okay? Uh, so anyway, um, yeah. So these guys are full of shit. So this is like that's one reason I couldn't possibly be a conservative. I just I I have no tolerance for that motherfucking just abject stupidity. You know what I mean? I don't know.